Yes, my name is, well, I pronounce it Jareth Harrie Eerie Hola, but people don't pronounce it that way, right? Because it's kind of with like this Latin accent. And it's really, my names are, okay, I'll show you, actually, I have my name badge right here, so maybe it's the visuals easier. So it's Jareth Harrie Eerie Hola. But I've only been officially a sister for about 2 years or so, a little less than that, yeah. Jareth kind of came from the inspiration from the Labyrinth. I'm really a big fan of David Bowie. I feel like David Bowie has saved my life through his music and through who he is as a person. So I wanted that to be a part of it because I always identified with like this Goblin King character in the movie. And then Harrie Eerie Hola really came from well, the Harrie came from one of my big sisters. She's like, throw Harrie in there, it's cute. And then Eerie Hola is kind of the original persona that I wanted to be, which is totally not my actual personality, is to be like the scary, like Latinx, like Catholic nun. When I originally joined to, well, originally before I even joined, I asked Sister Unity from LA if there was such thing as people that were not born male could join, because all I saw, except for in the LA house, all I had seen were gay, male identified, male at birth people. And so I thought, well, this is an exclusive like club for other people, not me. I don't identify that way. So I just kind of started going to DragCon, watching the panels with the sisters. And then I think the second year I was there, I asked, can I actually be a part of this? Is there a way for me to help? And Sister Unity kind of talked about the path and also about saints and angels as an option. And I said, you know, I feel like I have a calling to do this because I see you in the community, I see what you're doing, and you make me feel comfortable, you make me feel at home. And that's really what I want to do for other people in our community. So really, when I started off my path, I had that as my main focus, and that's still my main focus. So that's what drives all of the things that I do. Yeah, I, for a really long time, knew that I was some sort of LGBT, like more specifically, like on the sexual orientation spectrum. So when I was 16 or so is kind of when I was like, okay, I clearly have a likeness for people, not necessarily based on their gender, but based on who they are as a person. And really, it was about like 19 when I realized that was called pansexual. So identify that way. And then as far as my gender identity, I don't, I go back and forth, but I think that really I've known also since about 19 that I don't fully identify with the body I was born in. So I feel like sometimes inside, like there's this like gay man trapped inside, or that's like the core of who I am. But really, my gender identity is a little fluid because I do all this makeup and painting because I've become comfortable with that. But when I was growing up, I was never into dresses. I was never into makeup. I never wanted to do my hair. And then maybe like in high school for a year or two, I tried it and I was like, this is so much work and so terrifying and I'm not good at it. So I just stopped. And it was really becoming a sister that pushed me to be uncomfortable with the feminine side of things again, but I did that because I wanted to grow. And so now dresses and veils and earrings and eyelashes and jewelry, like those are all things that I work with that, again, sometimes make me feel uncomfortable, but I'm getting more comfortable in it. And that really helps to push me to be accepting and see the kind of gender spectrum of other people as well. So I would say that transgender queer is kind of the label that I use for the fluidity of my gender identity. So I know that it has been hard, but I think generally speaking, the house has accepted me being a part, and I know that every day that I go into it, it's going to be it's a little bit more of an uphill battle for me than it might be for some of our other members, because it's kind of like this boys club, right? That's how it's been, and hopefully we're starting to change that by me being in it and staying in it, and then hopefully we'll get more nunlings and then more members that identify as something other than gay male. And that's really my hope, to progress and to have more visibility with other communities, aside from just the gay male leather bear bar goers. I've always been really passionate about HIV and AIDS awareness and education. So that was what I did for my novice project. I kind of recreated the Play Fair pamphlet from 1982, and I made it more modern, talking about PrEP and PEP and how to stay safe, and using still things that we should be talking about, like putting on condoms correctly and only using them once and all of that. And when I recreated that, I also partnered with a local group called Ignite Your Status, which does basically condom ministry. They give condoms out, but they also test people. And I also have a big heart for working with the homeless population. So every last Saturday of the month, kind of on my own, because I feel it's necessary, I go and I give things away to people without homes. And it's necessities, and especially right now where everything in the stores are out, it's very important. So I do that. That makes me feel good, like just being there, talking to people and having real conversations with people on the street. It's a funny question because I'm an extrovert by nature. So doing these things, putting on a face and going out and being silly and dancing and talking to people and selling Jello shots or whatever I'm doing, because everything has a different ask. I'm always having a good time because I'm always with the community. So it's actually quite refreshing for me to go out with the community. As I mentioned before, sometimes I'll be like, oh man, this is my third face this week and my skin is dry and I don't feel like it and I'm tired and my back hurts and whatever. But once I start painting, that's when I'm like, oh, actually now I feel excited. Now I feel pumped. Now I want to go. Those are a couple things that bring me joy. But really going out and doing this does bring me a lot of joy. I just, I might be grumbly and not necessarily excited to do it in the moment, right before it's happening. But then when I get out there and I start talking to people, it really is like a battery recharge for me. Oh, okay. Those are a lot of S's. You're right. I think I tend to be silly. That's just my personality anyway. I tend to be silly most of the time. But when it comes to, like, if I had to really talk about it like we're doing now, of like what brought me to the Sisters, why am I staying a sister, why is being a sister important, why did I have a calling, it's all been very spiritual for me. Hi, Grandpa. I talked to a few people that were, what? No, I'm just having an interview. I just made him laugh until he coughed. Now that I've gone through the process, and even before that, I held this position very sacred. So, we talk about being sacred clowns and whatnot, but really, you should have a calling, you should want to do it, and it should bring you joy to do it. It shouldn't be a chore. And it should be, separate, but also you should intertwine like your personal beliefs in this. Like, is this something you do want to work for the community? Do you want to do all of this for free in your spare time? And that's a huge ask, because there's so many people that are very selfish and not motivated to go do any of that. And you really have to ask yourself, if you're not one of those people, is it something that you could commit to long term? There's a lot of expense in this because we're doing this for free, so we're not getting paid for makeup or outfits or any of that. And also we're using our time. We only have one life. We're only on this earth one time, at least, I guess in my belief system, I'm thinking that we're only here one time, right? At least in my opinion. And so, take advantage while you're here to have good, connected, loving relationships. And if you could be a sister and still do all of that, I would say go for it.